Good morning to everyone, and Om Shanti. I see most of you, oh thank you, are saying Om Shanti, so welcome, and I hope you had a restful night. Yes, the atmosphere here is very silent, very calming, right? As I came in this room, I thought we're just so can you hear me all right? It's okay. I thought we're so fortunate. Bit more, okay. As I came in this room, I looked out of the window. I thought it was just so fortunate to be in this place. God's gift. So let us think a little bit about some of the steps of meditation together. And very often when people think about meditation, they think that in some way or another you have to stop your mind from working. Is that possible? It is? You sure? No. I've not managed to do it. Actually, thoughts are an energy, right? A very, very creative energy. And it all depends upon how we use our thoughts. So meditation actually isn't about stopping the thoughts, but about using the thoughts in the most creative and productive way. Of course, in meditation, it's to go within and experience your inner qualities, and then you'll find, of course, through the day or your life, as was expressed by Sister Genti last night, that you'll use that energy for very creative things. So think about our thoughts. I remember Daddy Janki, who we've referred to so often, as saying there's a very deep connection between our thoughts and our breath and our energy. And when our thoughts are racing, what happens to your breathing? And then what happens to your energy? And when your thoughts are calm, your breathing, your energy is calm, and actually your energy is very alert. And so thoughts are very, very important. And where do I connect my thoughts? Where I'm connecting my thoughts will tell me something about the quality of my thoughts. And it's interesting, isn't it? And here we have such beautiful surroundings. You see something through the eyes, or you hear something through the ears, or you feel something, or you smell something, and it gives rise to thoughts, right? So the senses, in a way, influence our thinking, because once we perceive something through any of the senses, our thoughts tend to follow. And I always remember one call of time. I haven't been at many, it's only now I've got a little bit involved. But everyone had been out in nature, in the silence, debriefing and saying how wonderful nature is and what they took. And then Daddy looked at everyone and asked the question, "You've been taking from nature, but what did you give to nature?" Oh, but why I'm explaining this is because it gives us the idea that the consciousness within is actually not part of the senses, right? The inner consciousness, the inner being, which is manifest in our thinking, is actually using the senses. And so it can go either way. I can allow my senses to lead me, or I can be the sovereign, and whatever I perceive through the senses, I can then determine how I wish to respond. Because so often, whatever we go through or see or hear, and there are a lot of not pleasant things to hear in today's world, and I love that phrase that Philippa said yesterday. Philippa's there. How do I serve in a troubled world without becoming troubled myself? It's a key. And whenever I hear or see something, often it gives rise not just to particular thinking, but emotions, right? And sometimes a tsunami of emotions. I'm speaking from experience. I don't think it's a foreign or alien experience to any of you. So who's the master? And how can I begin to experience that self-mastery? And for that I need to very consciously focus my thoughts away from the external to the internal. And where do thoughts come from? They're not actually physical things, right? You can't catch them in a jar. Feelings you can't catch in a jar. But they're actually part of the non-physical self, the inner being. And you can use many terms for that. You can say consciousness, you can say soul, you can say spirit, and there must be other terms. But that part of me which is not physical, but is using the physical. And if you've ever witnessed a soul or the energy leaving a body, I've had the privilege, actually 3 times, but it was twice when it was very conscious and very sacred, of watching a soul. I use the term soul, that's the term we usually use, but you would have your own term. But of watching the soul leave and watching the energy leave. And you know that what's left is a shell. You can see it so clearly, so obviously. And so it's so important to realize and begin to experience who I truly am. So it's not just that part of me that is not physical, it actually is me. I'm the one creating feelings, emotions, thoughts, whatever it may be, ideas, memories. Memories, another whole subject, which we come on to a little bit. But first, just the awareness that I am not my senses, but I am a being that is using the senses. And as I was describing a soul leaving, obviously the energy of the soul empowers the whole body, right? Because the organs can't work if the life force isn't there. But there is a focus for that energy, which many of you will know about, which is here, the third eye, or the centre of the forehead. And I'm not a scientist, but apparently it's very close to the pineal gland, which is close to the pituitary, which handles all our functions and emotions and many things. So this is the control room, if you like, where the soul sits. I don't know if any of you have seen that Disney film Inside Out. Anyone seen it? It's very much like that, all the emotions talking inside. And sometimes it feels very, very busy in there. But yes, the consciousness focused in the center of the forehead. And if you like, this is the seat of the soul. Or I really like the term, and it was in our teachings today. This is the throne of the soul. And, when we say self-mastery, I don't like the term self-control because it's like you're suppressing something and, I'm making sure nothing, that's a state of tension. But self-mastery, very good. But something I like even more, self-sovereignty. It's more royal, isn't it? I'm the sovereign of myself, and I can respond in the way that I wish to respond. And when we go into that awareness, so we take that journey within, and we'll do a meditation in a couple of minutes, we find out about the nature of the self that is different to when we are so connected to the senses and the world and our relationships and everything that goes with it. We can have a variety of emotions and a variety of identifications. But when we go within, we find our original state of being. And that is a state of peace. Now you look at the world and you say, oh gosh, people are not peaceful. We know that. It's the opposite. There's a lot of violence in the human beings. But do you know what is the root of violence, actually? It's because we have suppressed our inner qualities that violence has arisen. Actually, the first violence we do to ourselves is to ourselves, to suppress who we really are because of the influences from the external. And then, yes, you can take the trajectory. You forget yourself. You forget your inner state of peace. There's a vacuum inside. Then you're relying on external identities, your ego. Our ego is very protective of us, isn't it? Have you noticed? So if somebody insults you, but you can extrapolate it to war. But anyway, it's a whole other subject. But the important thing is we now must, it's so important and so important for our world today to again release our true inner qualities. And there's more than peace, there are many qualities. But I'd like to just do a reflection now for all of us to go within to experience our inner state of peace. So be comfortable, feet on the floor. Take a deep breath. Okay, you're in a safe, relaxed place, an atmosphere. And either you can close your eyes if it's more comfortable, and sometimes that takes us into a sweet state of nothingness. That's okay too. Or if you want to, keep your eyes open and rest them gently, not stare. We have the image of light that's there. So whatever's comfortable, or just look ahead gently. So first, I take a few moments to allow my thoughts to settle. If I observe my thoughts, they may be in different directions, towards the past, the future, relationships. But can I now take these moments to be present here with myself? And use my thoughts for the journey within. I gradually remove my thoughts from my senses and the external surroundings. I go within realizing that I am a being, separate to my senses. As I go within, I focus my attention gently on the center of my forehead. And I visualize a tiny point of light shining brightly. This is the essence of who I am. And as I focus on the light, other awareness melts away. And I become that light. I'm light. I'm free. Free to be my true self, my true self. Free from burdens. Light. And I begin to experience my true nature. I am a being of peace. This is the original nature of I, the being. It has always been with me. But I had forgotten. It's a peace that no one can take away. It is my treasure within. I am a being of peace. Gradually I return the awareness of my body and the room. Keeping the peace with me. Thank you. Did you get a little taste of it? Of course it takes practice. But this is something that you can return to whenever you need. And the more you practice it, and the more you return to it, the more it becomes natural. It actually is our natural state, and we want peace. You know, you don't go to a course on how to become more angry, right? You want peace. It is, and it is our state of being. It's like our home, if you like. Excuse me. But actually, there are many treasures within. Peace, yes, something that is so calming and so soothing, brings us clarity, actually. But the other qualities of the soul, I'm sure no prizes for saying them. But love. Love is the original quality of the being. Wisdom, the original quality of the being. I, the being. Love, peace, wisdom, light, joy. When you even say these things, you say, yes, this is what I would want in my life. And actually we have them, but we just need to now release them. And purity. And purity is, when you take away everything that has polluted our consciousness over however many years we've been in this body, think about it. And you're left with that state of purity and your true inner qualities. And this is the thing that when we look at our lives, we've been conditioned from day one, right? Okay, little girl, these kind of toys, this colour. Little boy, these kind of toys, that colour, etc., etc. So first is gender, very strong conditioning. Of course, culture, religion, nationality, ethnicity. What else? Your social status, the amount of wealth you have, da-da-da-da-da. It's a long list. But our identities get very conditioned from the time we're in the cradle, or even the time we're in the womb. And so we grow up with many identities that actually are not the inner identity, but they're the external identity. You could almost call them labels, actually. Labels that I've gravitated to or I've been given that I then believe that this is my identity. Of course, we all do have, different aspects of culture and ethnicity and everything that we value and is very valuable. But when it becomes a label, it then becomes something that I want to fight for rather than something that I want to celebrate. And so it's very important to put all of this in proportion. And relationships are a huge identity. I'm a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, a child, a brother, a sister. And sometimes in those relationships, there's some baggage of expectation. Have you noticed? And we sometimes can in our lives, and I know it took me quite some time to get out of this, and still happens to me. By the way, all the people you see, the Raj Yogis here, we're not all perfect. We are a work in progress. But you then can sometimes spend your whole life trying to fulfill other people's expectations, right? But then, what about me? And this isn't a selfish thing, because as you were hearing last night, as we've talked about, if really I'm connecting with my real consciousness within and who I am, I actually have a lot more to give. And I'm giving something that is very different to the limited fulfillment of expectations. When just one example, there are many examples, but when you're on a journey supporting someone who's ill, and some of you would have been on those journeys, my brother, but many of us, sometimes we think, yes, we get into the sorrow of what is happening to the other person, but I remember one person who I was with, and I asked God, what's the best thing I can do for her? And the answer I got, stay happy. Not happy she's sick, of course, but it was like, what is the vibration that she needs around her? So we're able to give something because we become stronger inside because of understanding who we are. And so this is very crucial, because all the time we switch from the limited identity to the unlimited. Unlimited, i.e. the self. And why it's unlimited? Because it's actually an identity that's shared by everyone. Every single soul, every single being in the world. The other identities are shared by groups, obviously. And I don't mean to devalue those, but how do we use it in the right way? But the unlimited identity takes us into another realm of relationship that then helps us when somebody is behaving in, or is not fulfilling your expectations, I'm trying to be polite here, as behaving in a negative way. Can I still remember, if I'm in this awareness, I will remember that they also have that original state of being. And so I can become an instrument to uplift them, to remind them of who they are. So this is why this practice is so important, to go within, free the self, release my inner treasures, so that they're truly available for me to use whenever I need to. And so, okay, let us go into another meditation together. Take my thoughts within. To return to that beautiful place of comfort, of the true nature of the self. I focus on the being of light in the center of my forehead. I am such a beautiful being. When I step away from the external influences, I come to that state of purity of the being, of who I truly am. And I experience my original state of peace. I am a being of peace. I go into the depth of peace, a well of peace within. Far away from everything, absorbed in the peace of my original self. As I go within, I find a wealth of inner treasures. I find the treasure of love. I am a loving being, a love that needs no reciprocation, a love that's selfless and boundless. Experiencing the love of my being is a healing force. Helps me to forgive, helps me to be free. Gives rise to compassion and care. I am a loving being. And the treasure of wisdom, of knowing, of understanding. I know who I am. I understand what I have to do. I have the wisdom to uplift every situation. Wisdom this kind. Wisdom supports everyone in their original state of being. And together, these qualities bring me inner happiness. The happiness of being who I am, and the happiness of knowing that these are the treasures with which I can serve. I am being of peace, of love, wisdom. Gradually, I return to the awareness of my surroundings, knowing that now I don't need to take because I have so much to give. Thank you. It's beautiful to start the day in this way, isn't it? So do keep this practice going. Okay. I'm not going to really leave, well, it's 8 o'clock and I won't, unless there's a really burning question, but I can hear, well, mine for a start, the body's saying, don't forget me, you must feed me. Okay, so can feed your very good instrument of your body. And then we meet together, Julia, what time? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, we meet together again. In the conference room, yeah. Where we were last night, yeah, where we were last night. Okay, thank you. Om Shanti. Thank you.